Hi, I'm Vicky. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm going to show you two cards using a washi tape masking watercolor technique. I'm using my favourite Canson XL Watercolor paper, which is 300 GSM or 140 pounds, and this is cold press paper. I'm just going to cut a sheet of this 9x12 paper in half, and then I'm going to score it along the centre line, and that will give me two card bases. I'm scoring at the 4.5 inch mark, and I'm going to use one card as a portrait card and the other as a landscape. Now I have some of this washi tape by a brand called X. This is Totem Gold washi tape. I bought this on Amazon, and it's very thin washi tape. You can see there it is on the box, all the different designs. So I'm just pulling out a couple of rolls to use on my project. This stamp set is by Kelly Creates, and you can buy this through American Crafts. I love this stamp set. It has a lot of really useful greetings on it, as you can see. And today I'm going to use I love you and missing you with the exclamation point. So I have my stamp positioner lined up. I have some Versafine Onyx black ink, and I'm going to stamp the first card. And I'm using my Speedball Baren to make sure I get all that really well inked. And I'm going to heat set this ink with my heat tool because I am working with watercolor paper. I'm going to use the I love you sentiment next. Just using a baby wipe to clean up any areas where I may have over inked. And using a baby wipe to clean up my fingers, because at this point you don't want to transfer any of that ink from your fingers onto your card. Just a little bit more ink is required. Because it's watercolor paper, it doesn't take the ink as well as regular cardstock. So sometimes you have to go over it a couple of times, but this time it's perfect. Now I'm bringing in a mop brush and my Daniel Smith watercolors. I'm using a Distress water bottle from Tim Holtz. I have 2 clean cups of water and some paper towel at the ready. Here's my washi tape, and I'm going to adhere my cards to the tabletop with some masking tape, which is about the same thickness on the edge of the card as the washi tape will be. So this just gives it a very fine border, about the size of the washi tape on both cards. Now I've put that missing you stamp on sideways just so that it will fit in the frame. I've also brought in my T-ruler because I want to make sure I get the first couple of pieces of tape straight, and then I'll be eyeballing it. I won't be measuring everything. That would be rather tedious, I think. But I'm just putting my first layers of tape down and just using the T-square ruler to make sure they are square. And I'm going to leave the middle section of both of these cards, where it has the sentiment, is going to be clear of any watercolor paint. I'm going to leave that white. And now I'm just sort of gridding out a design just in a way that to me looks pleasing. I'm just going to have some diagonal pieces, some slightly wonky shapes here. I just want to make sure that I haven't created a shape that is so small that I can't really get any paint in there. And you can see I'm crisscrossing that left-hand side so that I don't end up with something that is too small to paint inside. And I'm just pressing down that tape. And I think that might be about the last piece. I like the idea of this design. It doesn't have to be anything too precious. Now I'm going to add those 2 strips again of washi tape above and below the greeting, just to start with a nice straight edge. And that's straight. I've just checked it and it's good. Now I'm going to lay some strips down here, and the strips that go over the greeting, I'm just going to ignore those for now. I'm not putting any paint in that middle section where it says missing you. I'm just going to leave that clear, but I want these stripes to line up edge to edge. And they're not exactly the same distance, and I have planned it that way. I want some a little thicker, some a little thinner, just to give it that hand-painted look. And I'm burnishing with my fingers so the washi tape won't spring up. And I've brought in my Daniel Smith paints, and I'm going to start with a colour called Quinacridone Gold. It's a lovely, strong yellow colour. And I'm just using my mop brush for those larger shapes. And always have that paper towel ready in case there are some little runs or places where you've gone over the edge. And in fact, on the left-hand side on this Missing You card, I think I'm going to need to change to a smaller brush because it's difficult keeping it all inside the lines with this large mop brush. I'll persevere for a little while I'm doing all the yellow colours, that lovely Quinacridone Gold. And these cards are going to be primary colours plus green. So there's going to be a lovely strong red, a strong yellow, a strong blue. This blue coming in is Cerulean Blue, which is a gorgeous colour for skies and seascapes. And it's a lovely strong colour. It really stands on its own against that Quinacridone Gold. So I wanted colours that were very similar tones and strengths as well. Now these 2 parts here, I'm actually putting 2 colours in the same place, but because there is a stripe running through, I think this is going to work okay. And here is where I decided to bring in a much smaller paintbrush. This is a shader brush from Princeton. And now I can get into those difficult tight corners. And I'm just adding another layer because this layer has dried. And blue is a granulating colour, so this is not going to be quite as flat a wash as some of the other colours. I don't mind that. It adds to the hand-painted look. If you wanted a really flat wash here, you would dry with a heat tool and then add a complete colour over the top of the blue, dry it with a heat tool, and so on and so forth. But for the purpose of not wanting this video to be too long, I'm just going to go with it. So I'm transferring these colours while I have them on my brush to both cards, and this is a great way to get 2 cards done rather quickly. I'm using the same pigment load on the brush for both cards, and it means that I can just work really fast and not really waste much paint at all. Not a lot of this paint is going into the water jar. Now here's this beautiful green. So this is Phthalo green blue shade, and it's a gorgeous viridian kind of a green. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's a really strong colour again. And Daniel Smith paints have beautiful strong pigments anyway. They're very vibrant colours, so they're lovely to work with. And all I'm really doing with the colours is trying to make sure that they travel around both pieces. And I really only want 3 or at most 4 of each colour per card. And I'm only working with 4 colours on these cards. I'll be bringing in a 4th colour, so I'm leaving space for that colour to go. At the moment, these are cool colours, and I think I'd like to bring in something nice and warm. So I think that will make this quite vibrant, and it will make it more of a primary coloured card. So you're having red, yellow, blue, and a really nice green as a secondary colour, but the three primaries will be really standouts. Here is Pyrrol Scarlet. It's a beautiful red, and it's really going to bring these cards to life. You can see they're starting to come together now, particularly the I Love You card. It's almost finished. So this is a quick project. Having this washi tape makes it foolproof because you don't have to be a super neat painter that can paint these very intricate shapes. The washi tape's doing a lot of the work for you. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas of that Pyrrol Scarlet, and that's probably enough red, I think, on that one. And now I'm going to start introducing the red shade into the other card. And I guess my thinking is I'm just not going to put 2 of the same colours together on this card. And I'm only going to do at most 4 of each colour on any of the cards. Just finding a spot there for it. They're very dramatic cards. I also feel as though these would make great masculine cards or cards for a teenager because of the colours that I've chosen. Now there's room for another red rectangle on the second card over here. Red tends to be a very bossy colour, so I'll probably now start bringing in some more of that green, that lovely phthalo green blue shade. And now it's just a matter of laying a little bit more colour on anything that seems to not be quite vibrant enough. Watercolour always dries lighter than when you first put it onto your card. So now I'm bringing in that Quinacridone Gold, that's hard to say, Quinacridone Gold, and finishing it all off with my heat tool. And just any more areas where I feel it needs an extra coat, I'll do that as each coat dries. Make sure your paint is dry before you play with it with a second colour, otherwise it will end up quite streaky. So that's about done. So here's the reveal. Now, what I find is really great about heat setting your ink and then adding heat to your washi tape is that it does a couple of things here. It helps the tape release so it won't tear the paper. And it just makes the whole process of pulling the washi tape off really easily. The washi tape comes off much more easily than the masking tape does. So I'm going to chase the masking tape with my heat tool. You can see me chasing it there so that as I pull it, it's getting the heat right on the areas that I'm pulling. And this will ensure that your cards don't tear. And look at this reveal. Wow, I'm really happy with how these turned out. Look how dramatic that is. Absolutely fabulous. I love it. And here's the second one now. You'll finally get to see this one right side up. Okay, so all the washi's coming off. And there is a little bit of bleeding there, but I'll fix that in a minute. And I'm chasing that masking tape with the heat tool so that it won't tear my watercolour paper. And remember, I've already taken some of the tack off on my clothing before I put that down, and that helps too. And here's the reveal for the second card. And I am just loving how this turned out. There we go, you can read it now. Missing You. And look at those lovely, vibrant stripes of colour in there. I'm very, very happy with these cards. Now, I want to clean them up just a little bit, where there have been a couple of little bits of paint that have seeped through under the washi tape. And I have an easy tip for you that will take care of that. Just put my paints away. I'm going to bring in some clean water and a small bowl, and I'm going to bring in a Chux Magic Eraser. Now there's only a small amount of water in the bowl. I am using it damp. I don't want to be squeezing any more water out onto the paper, but it's just damp, and I'm just dabbing it very, very gently, not scrubbing at it, or you might tear some of the paper or degrade the paper. But that's taking care of that spot quite easily. There's that first card. Absolutely love it. All right, now the second card, there's a little bit more of bleeding went on under the washi tape. So this will take just a little bit more attention. Putting a little bit more water in there, squeezing it out, and then gently dabbing. Not rubbing, just gently dabbing. And you can see that's lifting already. Now the trick is to keep turning your piece of magic eraser around so that you don't transfer the paint that you've just lifted onto your clean paper. So each time I change colour, I will move my Chux Magic Eraser to another corner. I've got some paint on it there, so this is where this glass of water comes in. I'm going to wash it in that, dab it off again. You can see it's clean now. I'm not transferring any colour anywhere else. Just gently dabbing, and that has really made a huge difference. Now I like having these sorts of cards in my stash ready to go. I think they are quite masculine or teenage or young person's card. They're very vibrant and fun colours, which I love. I also love the sentiments. It's handy to have these sorts of sentiments on your cards. And there they are completed. So I hope you give this a try. Daniel Smith watercolours are granulating paints. I think about half in my 24 pan set of granulating and half as staining. And that really makes for an interesting result when you're doing some watercolouring. I hope you enjoyed this project today, and I'll see you again next time. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for visiting. If you like this, please give me a little thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It really helps, guys. Thank you so much. Bye for now.